Hello, everyone, and a happy new year to each and every one of you. I hope 2025 treats you well and shows you lots of manifestation, lots of help. For those of you who follow me on Facebook, I do have a Holly Pool Astrology Facebook page, which I write in every day. And one of the things that I'm committing with people through this upcoming year is the commitment of being able to journal. And we're going to look at making 2025 the bestest year ever. We're going to look at our health. We're going to zero in on our health. We're going to zero in on our mental health, our spiritual health, our physical health, our emotional health. And so, for those of you on my newsletter listing, each month we will actually be focusing on a certain part of our health. I'm going to start out in January with the commitment to self, because we have to have that commitment in order to make our way through for the rest of the year. So I hope you join us. I hope that you will join us in the whole process of journaling throughout the year. I am of the old mindset that the physical pen and the writing with the pen is exactly what allows us to get into what is known as channeled writing. So my newsletter each month, I send one out each month. My newsletter each month will have a set of questions that will help you journal starting on Monday of that whole month. So, like for instance, in January, there are 4 Mondays. So, there'll be 4 questions, and people can do it at their own pace. I'm not checking on anybody. People are doing it to really zero in on their own entire health. And there's a real big reason why I chose to zero in on health for 2025. If you add up the numbers 2025, so 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5, that equals 9. So universally on the world stage, we're coming into a 9 year. And the 9 year is called the death year in numerology. Not that anybody dies, but it's the ending of an old life. And universally, that's exactly where we are. As you listen, perhaps to my future videos coming forward, 2025, from May to September, we're actually going to get a little bit of a viewpoint of what the new world looks like as a lot of our outer planets change signs. Some of them been in there since 2015, some of them since 2020. So we're going to see a lot of big changing and shifting. I wanted to focus on our health in a 9 year, because again, the 9 year is the death year, releasing and letting go of things that no longer serve us. And as we know, a lot of our own health conditions is perhaps a little bit self-induced. And so by working at it as a whole big team, as a whole big group, I hope what that will do is to help, push us all along, because there are times throughout life for sure that we sort of fall down on the side and we forget our commitment and we forget that we are the ones totally responsible for ourselves. So, as I said, I hope you come along for the ride. You will find a lot of the information down below. I'll put in links that you can see, and I'd love to have you come along for the ride. So send me a little note along the way. Even at the end of this video, send me a little note. Tell me, I'm along for the ride, Holly. I'm with you, because I'm going to need some help too. And I'm going to need some help to have other people along with me. So let's get in. And let me share my screen here to look at the very first day of January. January itself is going to open with a bit of a challenge. And the challenge is for a few reasons. One of the major challenges is that Mars, that planet of aggression, Mars is still retrograding. It started, you would have heard me talk about that in the December video. And on January 1st, Mars and Pluto are in a bit of a tussle. So there's a huge pull that is going on between Mars and Pluto. And on my Facebook page back just before Christmas, I talked about this, and I talked about, we have a choice here. They're in fixed signs. Leo is a fixed sign. Aquarius is a fixed sign. Both of those are in fixed signs. So we're going to get a little bit stubborn here, and we're all going to sort of plant our feet in there. And I've said to everybody, let's just kind of allow ourselves to be somewhat flexible through here. This will all pass. This will all shift. This will all change. But at the very beginning of the year, we won't feel that way. So you can either hold on to that control. Good luck with that. May the force be with you. You can hold on to that control, or you can just save yourself a whole lot of grief and just go along for the ride. There's a lot of things that are happening. We also, over the last roughly 2 years, give or take, the nodal axis. So the North Node went through the sign of Aries, the South Node through Libra. So for the last couple of years, we've actually been very, very focused on relationships, on trying to move our way forward, Aries, trying to see new things, trying to open new doors. Libra, trying to figure out the balance and the harmony that was happening with that. Well, in early January, because it's backed all the way up to 0 degrees, we actually see that it is just getting ready to go into another alignment. So for the next year and a half, 2 years, we're going to have it go through the sign of Pisces and Virgo. Another reason why I chose to zero in this year on our health. Lots of our Pisces friends are nurses and doctors and counselors and caregivers, and they work quite often. They work in the medical field. In medical astrology, the sign of Virgo has to do with our digestive tract, and it has to do with diet and exercise. So you can see how that in itself is also going to combine with my world view of trying to make 2025 the year of the bestest of me, especially connected around our health. And as planets, Pluto has finally moved into Aquarius fully. I talked a lot about that in December. It'll stay there till 2044. But we now have the pull of Mars. Mars is about trying to find love, trying to be in love, trying to see what love is. You're with a partner. Do they really love me? Do they act like they love me? Do they act like they even want to be a part of my life? And that's such a push and pull with that Pluto in Aquarius, the need for freedom. And then the nodal axis being at 0 degrees. We've got the asteroid goddess Vesta at 29 degrees Libra. And Vesta is like the Vestal Virgin. So where we find Vesta, and this is the symbolism for Vesta, of course, where we find Vesta in our charts, it's where we sometimes will put up a blockage. We'll go, nope, we're not letting you in. That's not going to happen. So Vesta, on the 3rd, so let's actually go to the 3rd of January. I want it per day. I don't want to go per hour. On the 3rd of January, Vesta moves into the sign of Scorpio. Vesta is very strong in Scorpio because it then makes us be extremely investigative. It makes us search for clues. It makes that little internal lawyer, policeman really kick into gear. It creates a trine. Venus will have then just moved into Pisces. Both of those are water, and we like trines. Trines are good. So it's asking questions of those we love, Venus, those we love, and how to best care for them. What is it that we can do? But never forget as well, what is it we can do for self? That's also of a great importance. And we're going to find, if you're going to journal with us, the 6th of January is going to be our first day for journaling. And I've invited all my watchers, my viewers, my followers, friends, family. Pick yourself up a really nice looking journal for the upcoming year because you're going to get lots of use of it every Monday. Now, you can journal as much as you want. Maybe you want to take the question I'm asking for Monday, and maybe you want to write every day, but you want to write a little different part of that question. It's entirely what absolutely works directly for you. That's where the importance come in. When we then get to the 7th of January, now Mars have backed back into Cancer. So Mars was in the sign of Leo. It backed through the sign of Leo, what you may have found from a medical perspective. I found personally when Mars retrograded that particular night, which was the 6th of December, that particular night, I had such massive shooting pains going through my back wisdom tooth, which probably had a signal to it all on its own, was absolutely incredible. And I've heard so many people talk about the various aches and pains and health things that have been very acute. Mars is very acute. And Mars in Leo, it's all about setting up a type of inflammation within the blood system. Mars is going to back into Cancer. And Mars in Cancer is very different than Mars in Leo. Mars in Leo has a bit of an over amount of aggressiveness, hence the acuteness to the sharp pains. Mars is going to come back into the sign of Cancer, and that's going to have quite a bit of effect on our cardinal people. That would be Aries people born pretty much mid-ish area of April, our Cancer people born around that 22nd of July, our Libra people born around that 22nd, 23rd area of Libra, and of course our Capricorn people born around that 19th, 18th, 19th of January. You're going to have Mars come and line up with your sun sign, where there's a part to you that you may feel, that spinning. That's the thing with Mars. Mars can and Mars will take us all on a spin if we let it. There's not a lot of Earth signs going on here at this point in time. The sun's in Capricorn, that's Earth. We've got Uranus in Taurus, that's Earth. But that's all the Earth we've got. So there's not much grounding. So one of the things we all need to do, because Mars is going to be affecting every one of our charts, we're going to go, I will ground, I will ground, I will ground. And allow your feet to feel comfortable connected to the earth, because it's going to take until the 9th before Mercury manages to get into Capricorn. So now we at least got, another earth sign that's happening here. The moon is also helping us on this day of the 9th. The 9th should be a really good day for us to actually instill the grounding side to us, because we got some earth going on. And Mercury will come out of the sign of Sagittarius, where it's all been in the head and out the mouth and not a whole lot of thought put behind it. And it will instead make our communication, Mercury, make our communication a lot more practical, a lot more down to earth, a lot more business-like. And that will help try to calm down this Mars. Now you can see the North Node is still in Aries right at this point in time. Then we're going to get to the 12th. When we get to the 12th is the day that we feel the nodal axis make a turn. And it will turn into the sign of Pisces. I've already talked about that. And what's interesting, of course, up in the sky, we have Neptune moving forward. We have the North Node moving backwards. So they're going to conjoin by the time we get to the middle part of January. And that will be a lovely, lovely alignment. We've not seen this kind of an alignment for roughly 29, 30, 31 years. And so we'll find a stability to us to be able to see that change. One of the lovely things, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself, one of the lovely things we're going to see in, I think it's May that this happens, Neptune is going to come out of the sign of Pisces and go into the sign of Aries. Now, Neptune's not going to know what to do with that. Neptune has been in Pisces since, I think, I don't have it in front of me, but somewhere around 2015, 2016, maybe. So it's been very comfortable in Pisces, and in modern rulership, it actually rules the sign of Pisces. So it's had that kind of a vibration. Then Neptune is going to go into Aries. We're all going to feel that jolt. As I said, I think that's actually, I just saw it here in my notes, 1st of April. We're going to see that. We're going to feel a jolt with that. Neptune's going to go, wow, like what just happened there? Neptune then is going to be able to see the vision of how to get its way forward. In Pisces, it spent too much time swinging in opposite directions to try to figure out how it's going to solve. And it's not helped our friends who've been dealing with some type of a mental illness, whether it's depression or anxiety or alcoholism or whatever it might be. Neptune then is going to go, I know what I need to do. I need to take up my saber and move my way forward. Another reasoning for me going down the road with regards to the year of health, because I do know This is a huge year, whether you do it with me or not, it doesn't matter. This is a huge year. There will be a huge focus on health for that exact reason. When we get to the 13th, that's going to be our full moon on the 13th. Full moon's actually going to be 22. I can go through hours here to make this be exact. There's the moon right there. The moon's at 23 degrees Cancer. It's our Cancer moon. And how you know what sign the full moon is, you look to see what sign the sun is. Our Capricorn friends are having their birthday around that 13th of January area. What's the sign directly across from Mars? What's the sign across from Capricorn? Cancer. And this is one of the strongest moons in the whole year. The moon don't often get to be full in its own personal sign. It only happens, like generally, it only happens once a year. And so it's now connecting with that Mars. This is a huge emotional day for everybody. You can mark that on the calendar for sure, that it is a huge emotional day. Mars will make us mad about something because that's what Mars does. Mars is our planet of aggression. Mars will make us mad. And I hope everybody make a little note in your calendar somewhere. When you do get mad, when you do get upset about something specific that Mars is creating, step back for a moment and ask, why are you being mad? Are you being mad because somebody else is not bending to what you want? Step back and go, if I were walking in their shoes, what would it look like right now? When you get pissed off about it, ask, am I giving energy to being pissed off at something I have absolutely no control over? So am I kind of sort of wasting my time? Am I wasting my breath on trying to get the other person to see my way of thinking? And if that's the case, then the next obvious question is, why? What is the benefit of that? So I think that full moon is really going to bring a whole lot of clarity. It creates a trine, and yeah, we do like trines, but it creates a trine to the North Node and Neptune here both. And the North Node and Neptune's asking, but wait a minute, isn't this what you were asking for? What's the issue here? Isn't this what you've been setting yourself up for all the way through? It's an interesting question. And if you spend some time, and even if you wanted to use some of those questions as your journaling questions, those of you who've listened to my channel have heard me talk about The Artist Way by Julia Cameron. I just think, and I say this a lot, I know I do, I just think that it is a book that really helps to zero down on what's going on the inside of us. I don't think that we, as a society, do enough excavating of our own self. We have a tendency to want to help everybody else. I get it. I understand. But we need to help ourselves. And excavating down in a 9-year, the year of endings, the year of finishings, and remember, we are in an overriding 9-year, right? Because 2025, 2 and 2 are 4 and 5 make 9. We're in an overriding 9-year. January is the first month in the calendar. So 9 and 1 make 10, 1 and 0 make 1. So universally, January is a 1 month. It's asking us to look through a different set of eyes on a lot of the things that we need to release, to let go of, to just let things go. And that's a big deal. Then we're going to get to the 20th. And on the 20th, the sun now moves into the sign of Aquarius. Well, Pluto is right there. This is a very special day because we have a Cazimi Pluto. And that should be interesting just all on its own on the world stage. We have to remember it's a 9-year for the whole world. Do I think, we're going into Armageddon? And do I think we're going into massive world wars? And do I think... No, I do not. I do not see the 9 as massive wars. Somebody asked me, though, because I'm in Canada, somebody asked me if I thought the tariffs would come. Yes, I do believe the tariffs will be there in January. I do believe that the tariffs will be there in February. But I do think when Mars turns direct, which will be the 24th of February, that's actually then the time when everybody lays the cards on the table and everybody then starts to deal. Kind of reminds me of the whole, what was his name? Kenny Rogers song, The Gambler. That's when everybody's going to lay the cards on the table is the 24th of February. And I'll tell you why. Because 24th of February, when Mars turns direct, things around us are going to go kapow, and up it goes. Do I think that's war? No, I do not think it's war. But we have to remember there's only so much people will take, and that's agreeing with countries as well. Yes, Canada is called a lunar country. Previous to Canada's birth, we had a lunar eclipse. After Canada's birth, we had a lunar eclipse. So we're a lunar country. The US is a solar country. So the eclipse previous to its birth was a solar eclipse. The eclipse following its birth is a solar eclipse. So they're a solar country. And that's why quite often they're considered the superpower and they can, push people around and tell the world what they need to do. And that's also why Canada has always appeared to be very subdued. Are we a subdued country? Yeah, we are a bit, to a point. Don't go over that point. That's the thing with a lunar. I happen to be a lunar individual. Growing up with the belief system, Holly has the patience of Job. The whole biblical piece, I guess. But there is a breaking point. And when there is a breaking point, then it's not pretty. It takes a long time to get to that breaking point. And that's going to be the same way with a lunar country such as Canada. And I'll tell you, the breaking point will be when Mars turns direct, that 24th of March, or 24th of February. And that's when the dealing is done. Remember the gambler. And that's all because of this Mars. And I will tell you, the 20th of January, when we have a Cazimi Pluto, will also be the day, one of the days, when we will consider it to be the beginning of the end. So there will be conversations that will take place on that particular day that will actually push action. Now, I think they'll be slow to act until Mars turns direct, and then people will start to ask, hello, hello, you know? So it's interesting times because of that Cazimi Pluto. By the time we get to the 21st, the sun has moved now to 2 degrees. Pluto's at 1 degree. It will have moved forward. Then we come forward to the 29th. The next big deal in January is the 29th. And that's actually the new moon. And let me go by hour, change it by hour here to have the moon. I'm watching this moon come to 10 degrees. Both of them will actually go 9 degrees. There we go. Sun and the moon are at 9 degrees. That's the 29th of January, the sun and moon at 9 degrees Aquarius. Now, 9 degrees Aquarius, this up here, and we all had, remember, the 8th of, the 2nd of October. 2nd of October, there was a solar eclipse that happened at 10 degrees Libra. Again, as my followers know, that eclipse is still very strongly in power. And so that new moon there for the 29th of January, that creates a trine. We like trines. Trines are good. Creates a grand trine, actually. And so if you go back to the early part of October of 2024, you had some very serious conversations about relationships, about what would bring balance, what would bring harmony, what would bring centeredness. Now, this new moon reopens a lot of those exact same conversations. You'll find yourself going back to them. Will you be able to find the solution? No, not really. It will reopen the conversations again, but until Jupiter turns direct, because Jupiter is part of that grand trine, right? I can draw a line from there to there to there, creates a grand trine. But part of that grand trine has Jupiter retrograding. So Jupiter said there's still a waiting point. There's still a stall out that hasn't finished off the complete picture yet. We'll have the answer to it when Jupiter turns direct, which will be the 4th of February. But that answer hasn't come about just yet. But it will reopen. I guarantee you, it will reopen that conversation that had taken place back then. And then also on that particular day, on the 29th, oh, I'm on the hour, sorry. On the 31st of January, Uranus turns direct. Uranus, that planet of unexpected events. Now, Uranus is creating a trine with the South Node. And I like trine. I even like the trine with the South Node. I'm not a big South Node kind of girl, but I do like a trine with the South Node because it allows us to release and to let go of something that have been keeping us stuck. It may even have us look again at the financial situation. One of the things I do expect here is to also see a fall in the interest rates. Uranus have been keeping Uranus in Taurus, and again, I've talked about this before. Taurus is our banking industry, and Uranus entered Taurus. I don't have that off the top of my head, but it's been a few years now. And, you know, it's our banking industry, our rates have been all over the map. It's been all, on, off, high, low. And I think that what we will see with Uranus, the unexpected event, I think we'll see the drop happen here. Because again, that creates a trine, and it creates the trine as well with, this is the asteroid goddess Pallas Athene, and she was the warrior goddess. And so she and Uranus are in a trine. Again, we like trines, but the trine of the fact of let's make change, let's force change, let's make change happen. So, January, as I had said before, by then we're coming into February. February is a big dynamic month. But January is our shift and our planning. I'm going to call January a planning month for 2025, because in 2024, it was a bit hard to plan 2025 with Mars retrograding. We'll get there. We will absolutely get there, one piece at a time. And again, I invite you to set up your whole journaling pathway with us. We would love to have you along as a whole entire group. Thank you, everyone. Again, Happy New Year, Happy Universal Year of 9. Let us put to bed things that no longer work for us. Some of those are fears, and I cover those in part of the writing. Some of those are expectations that have set up disappointments for us before. Let us use that 9. One of the months we're going to look at decluttering, getting rid of everything that keeps holding us back. Old material things, things that hold old energy value that we're done with now. Old concerns, there's just so many things to work on, because 2025, we want it to be the year of the bestest of me. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Please do a like with the thumbs up down there. I love reading your comments. Lets me know there's people watching and looking, and it helps to grow the channel. Thank you. See you in February.